Welcome back. Media worker Riani Isidore is said to be near perfect physical health following his ingestion of a harmful substance while in police custody on the 1st of March. We are now nearing the end of the month and still particular information has not been given. One government minister has called for an investigation into the matter. Trisha Lionel has more in this report.
Riani Isidore was arrested and charged on March 20th for the offences of bomb hoaxes and attempted suicide after recovering from the ingestion of toxic substance while in police custody. The substance has not been named. Since he was released from hospital, he was granted bail on 2 counts of bomb hoaxes in the sum of $2,500 each, cash or suitable surety. One question remains unclear since his recovery. How did a person under police protection encounter harm which would render them comatose for weeks in a medical facility? Should there be an investigation into the matter, and by whom? What exactly was ingested? These are only some of the questions still left unanswered. One government minister answers in part one of these questions by demanding that there should be an inquiry into the matter.
If anyone gets put in police custody, of course there should be inquiries made as to what happened, why it happened, and to perhaps avoid a situation happening like that in the future. I can't speak to the individual case. I don't know the full circumstances, but as a general response to your question, certainly, if someone is in police custody and gets harmed, we have to look at why it happened, how can we avoid it in the future. So certainly there are some lessons to be learned here, and we shouldn't pass on the opportunity to learn whatever lessons that may be learned.
The Royal St. Lucia Police Force has issued 2 official statements on the matter. The first was on March 5th and the second was given on March 21st. No word has been given as to the circumstances surrounding the incident. In the latest report on the matter, the Royal St. Lucia Police Force Press Office added, quote, "A person who communicates any information which he or she knows or believes to be false to another person with the intention of inducing in him or her or any other person a false belief that a bomb or other thing likely to explode or ignite is planted in a place or location is liable on conviction or indictment to imprisonment for 5 years or on summary conviction to imprisonment for 2 years." The minister adds that the matter concerning the reporter is one which should be handled delicately.
We have to realize that we're all human beings, and the human condition sometimes brings up challenges that we find difficult to cope and to bear. So I want to exercise sensitivity in talking about this, because this could be my family member, this could be your family member, this could be a friend. And we go through life and there are many challenges, and when things like that happen, I think there needs to be a sensitive understanding and empathetic ear in dealing with it.
For Hot 7 News, I am Trisha Lionel.
Prime Minister Allen Chastanet is responding to criticisms from CARICOM leaders following his meeting with Donald Trump. Prime Minister Chastanet says fruitful discussions were held on a range of matters that are in St. Lucia's national interest. Caribbean leaders who met with U.S. President Donald Trump have received much criticism for the meeting, particularly in light of Venezuela being a topic of discussion. On Tuesday, ahead of Parliament, St. Lucia's Prime Minister Allen Chastanet indicated that he is not bothered, as he is guided by a clear mandate from St. Lucians. Asked how he responds to the criticism from the Antiguan, Trinidadian and Vincentian Prime Ministers, he had this to say.
I don't. At the end of the day, I was elected by St. Lucians to represent St. Lucians. The topics that were discussed are national as well as regional in importance. At the end of the day, this was not a meeting for CARICOM. This was a meeting by invitation by the President of the United States of America, who is St. Lucia's largest trading partner. In addition to that, it's my largest diaspora. In addition to that, it's the one that offers me and St. Lucians the greatest opportunity for growth. So if I'm invited to put forward St. Lucia's agenda, I will do so. But I've always been extremely respectful and will continue to be respectful on CARICOM's positions.
Prime Minister Chastanet was scolded by Dominican Senior Counsel Anthony Astefan, who accused him of acting like a lone ranger in Caribbean politics, when in fact he is supposed to operate within the CARICOM framework. Dr. Ralph Gonzalez also argued that leaders should defer to the CARICOM mechanism on this foreign relations matter, referring to Venezuela. Prime Minister Chastanet made a point that CARICOM countries have taken differing positions on issues before.
This is not the first time that CARICOM and leaders in CARICOM hold opposing positions. There are those who support China. There are those who support Taiwan. There's those who support the CIP programs, those who don't. So having unanimity at CARICOM has never been a problem in terms of us working together.
Prime Minister Chasney voted with the Lima Group in not recognizing the legitimacy of Nicolas Maduro's presidency and calling for fresh elections in Venezuela. On the other hand, CARICOM, Mexico and Uruguay recognize Maduro as the legitimate president and do not support political interference or military intervention in Venezuela as spelled out in the Montevideo Mechanism, which calls for dialogue and a peaceful resolution. Prime Minister Chasney further emphasized St. Lucia's position on Venezuela.
St. Lucia's position on Venezuela is very clear, that we believe at this point that in order for Venezuela to be able to get on with its life, it needs to have fresh elections. There is a credibility problem right now with the current regime as it pertains to how they were elected last time. So St. Lucia stands very strongly and very firmly that we believe that to resolve this problem and not to cause any further intervention into Venezuela's affairs, that President Maduro ought to agree and sit down to have a discussion on fresh elections.
The Prime Minister highlighted the promising discussions on other matters, like applying for visas right here in St. Lucia as opposed to going to Barbados, pre-clearance facilities in light of the HIA redevelopment, and discussions about bringing back the Caribbean Basin Initiative to bolster security in the region. The U.S. President also promised that a team from the U.S. will be coming to St. Lucia and the islands of the 4 other leaders whom he met within the next 90 days to explore investment opportunities in those countries. Prime Minister Chasney says that there are 2 issues which were not discussed during the meeting with President Donald Trump. The suspension of U.S. aid to the Royal St. Lucia Police Force is one such matter which he says will be discussed in another forum. The suspension of aid to St. Lucia stems from the Leahy Amendment, which bans assistance to any unit of the security forces of a foreign country if the Secretary of State has credible information that such unit has committed a gross violation of human rights. The United States estimated that the 12 extrajudicial killings in St. Lucia between 2011 and 2012 were cases of gross human rights violations. The Leahy Amendment does not define a gross violation of human rights, and incidents are reviewed on a case-by-case basis.
We did not speak specifically to Leahy. We've been having dialogue with other department agencies with that. As we were with a group, it would have been very difficult to bring up something specifically as the Leahy. But I have to say to you on the Leahy issue that we have been having discussions with the U.S. And we are going to be getting assistance now from the state of Florida with our police. Because the Leahy law applies to their state, to the federation, but doesn't necessarily apply to the state. So I think we're making some substantial inroads in making sure that we can get the assistance that we require in helping us secure solutions.
One other matter yet to be discussed is the killing of Botham Jean in 2018 by a United States police officer.
Was Botham Jean brought up at all during that meeting?
No, but it was brought up in a meeting that we had here prior with the State Department, and we're all looking at the situation and observing to make sure the process is moving on. I'm very happy that the date for the court case is now in process and in train, and we'll keep a very close eye as to what is happening.
You're watching the Hot 7 Nightly News. We'll be right back.